Today we're diving into a treasure trove of secrets gleaned from working with 3,991 athletes over the age of 50. In this video, we're going to explore the key lessons that they've taught us, from training enough to get better while avoiding the pitfalls of doing too much, to the secret of setting and achieving goals as you get older. We'll dig into why it's so painful to run over the age of 50 and how to actually fix it so that you're not sore and stiff all the time. Let me hand you over to Dev for the first one.
Just like in the classic movie Matilda, that I'm sure many of you have seen, in the scene where the little boy steals that slice of delicious looking chocolate cake, and as his punishment, Mrs. Trunchbull forces him to eat the entire chocolate cake in front of all the other kids. If you remember, for that little boy, it was horrible. When it comes to your training as we get older, see that one slice of chocolate cake as the perfect amount of running. Now, too much of a good thing can be bad. Running too often takes away from our recovery. The older we get, the more our body needs time to recover. By running every day, running too much, running harder, takes away from the ability to recover from those training sessions, where ultimately our adaptation to those training sessions is actually taking place. By getting rid or taking away from the recovery sessions, we're affecting our recovery and can potentially lead to illness or even getting injured.
The next one makes me think of one of my clients, Jackie Millett. She started running quite late in life and was extremely successful. But now she is getting on, she's in her 70s, and she's desperate to run under 4 hours for a marathon one more time. But she's very set in her ways. So despite approaching me to help her with some coaching, she still really struggled with this concept of slowing down on the easy runs. In her mind, she felt like if she's slowing down in her easy runs, that she's admitting that she is now getting slower because of age. And what that meant is that she wasn't able to execute on race day, and there were a couple of races that didn't quite go according to plan. She then decided she was going to run 1 or 2 runs with a friend, and that essentially forced her to slow down. And it made her feel so much better that the penny dropped. And she started to do the easy runs at the paces that I wanted her to run at, which were 15 to 30 seconds slower per kilometer than she wanted to run her easy runs at. That made her feel like she wasn't losing ground. And guess what? Jackie ran another sub 4 hour marathon, and we're hoping to do one more before the year is out. And the reality is it's that kind of stubbornness as we get older that prevents us from being able to carry on running well for much longer as we get older. We have to accept that by adjusting our training, running a little bit easier, recalibrating how we allow ourselves to recover, allows us to have a couple more really big performances on race day because we are in a better position and because we are fresher and we are able to perform.
My godchild Jack is 4 years old, and I was walking past this toy store and I saw this amazing 3D puzzle of the Titanic. It was aged 8 to 12, but because Jack is so infatuated with the story of the Titanic at the moment, I figured I have to get this for him. Maybe it wasn't the best gift ever because I landed up building the entire thing while Jack was running around because it wasn't really an age-appropriate gift. The same thing applies to your running as you age. You may be slowing down in your running. And so as a result, we want to make sure that we're setting age-appropriate goals. You're not really wanting to just be hitting your lifetime best all the time because that's not always going to be feasible. It's very much like that non-age appropriate 3D puzzle I bought for my godchild. You want to make sure that you're setting perhaps season best goals so that you are now making attainable goals for yourself as you get older.
The next lesson we've learned from runners over 50 is not running through pain. There's this idea that running is hard, so it's normal to be in pain all the time. And also on the opposite end, the go big or go home mentality, where you must just run through everything and you got to run as hard as you can to become the best athlete you can. The thing is, there's a big difference between sort of normal pain that arises from doing a hard workout for something like DOMS that recedes versus persistent pain that is going to carry on. Persistent pain is a signal that something is wrong and you need to do something about it. If you have persistent pain, you need to stop training, seek help, get assessed, and then do the necessary rehab to get better. If you run through pain, you're going to make the situation much worse and you risk a much longer time off. A lot of people are also often stressed about how much fitness they will lose if they take time off. We lose fitness very, very slowly. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to almost not completely detrain, but to lose fitness where it becomes noticeable in your running. So taking time off is actually a good thing. It prevents you picking up worse injuries, and you might take something that would have been a 2-week injury and turn it into a 2-month injury if you don't take time off.
Another thing we've learned from runners over the age of 50 that you should be doing is striving for season's bests rather than personal bests. It becomes important to monitor season's bests and strive to improve on those season's bests rather than trying to chase something that you might have done when you were in your 20s. Lindsay's dad does this really well. He tries to limit his slowing down by 1 to 2 seconds a year. Some years he's faster, some years he's a bit slower, but it keeps him motivated and gives him something to think about and work towards rather than the loss in speed over the years.
When I was younger, I had a Nintendo. It was so easy. I plugged it into the back of the TV, popped in a cartridge, and off we went. We were playing games. Not so long ago, my kids saved up over the course of a year to buy themselves a PlayStation. Of course, I then had to set it up. It was impossible. Eventually, I had to download some YouTube videos and follow it step by step before I could get to a point where they could play. And now my kids are showing me how the PlayStation works. And that's very much the same as what it's like being a runner in this modern world and having so much technology and not knowing which metrics are important to follow to make sure that you are in fact getting the most out of your running. And that is why at Coach Parry we've made the plan so simple and easy to follow. They are clear instructions with videos, but very importantly, you can upload those workouts and they will tell you exactly what intensity you should be running at and when, making it simple for you to get the most out of your running.
It's important to realize that slowing down doesn't mean giving up. It just means running smarter. The great news is there is another way. Even though we're getting older, there's still so much we can do to optimize our running performance. Having worked with so many runners over the age of 50, we know what works and what doesn't. We'll be sharing those in our free upcoming Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. So grab your place in it now by clicking on the link on screen. In it, you'll discover how to recover from sessions quicker so that you don't feel tired all the time in order to keep running pain and injury free. So you can run faster well into your 50s, 60s and beyond.